talk about something, like always. I'm always talking, y'all. Attachment is a symptom of entitlement, right? So I feel that this is like a really good topic to cover because we live in a world full of entitled people, right? Ourselves included, right? I'm talking about me too, dog. Like I've suffered with it. I have suffered. So I don't want you to feel like I'm just like pointing out anyone specifically. I'm saying we all, this is a pandemic. It's an epidemic. It's a problem, okay? But yeah, so we live in a world where everyone feels entitled, right? Entitled to a specific relationship, entitled to a specific outcome, entitled to specific jobs, entitled to specific whatever the fucks, you know, whatever you're feeling entitled to. And this is the root of all suffering, right? This entitlement, this attachment, this, you know, because then we attach ourselves to our outcomes, and we attach ourselves to unrequited situations, right? Like, for example, you know, like if you are really into somebody and you're just like, gonna die if I can't have them, that's my person and I know it, you know, but then that person does not reciprocate those feelings. People get mad about that, right? They're like, oh, I'm just stuck in a friend zone and dip, and there's, you know, and I don't like that because it's like, if you love somebody, if you actually love somebody, then you're gonna love them in whatever way they need you to, right? As a friend, as a lover, as a confidant, whatever. You're going to love them in the way that they need loved, right? Not in the way that you want to love them, right? So, and I mean, and this is true all across the board, where some people, you know, they get mad that one person has become more successful or makes more money or whatever, and it's this entitlement, right? Like feeling entitled to what somebody else has, despite the fact that somebody else has worked super hard for that, you know? And so I feel on a personal level that this is a problem. This attachment to things and people and scenarios, and you know, and it's all fed to us through the media and the music and the everything. Well, guess what? You can't be disappointed if you have no expectations, right? It's literally your expectations that you're placing on people and things that are a problem. You know, it's, I don't know, it's problematic. So we expect people to live up to our desires, right? And that's where the problem lies. It's, you know, we can't expect that of people. And also, when people get hung up on other people, right? And I'm talking about myself, and I've been hung up on people, okay? Like, I know how it goes. I've had my share of infatuation in life. But one thing that is true is that, like, we create a different version of them in our head, right? A version of them that doesn't actually exist. We romanticize them. We want to see them, you know, we want their face with whatever fantasy our brain creates of them, you know? Our brain tells us, oh yeah, this person is going to lead to this outcome and this happiness and this da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And it almost never is true, right? Like, you have all these expectations, all these fantasies that you've created, right? And you expect them to be reality, But I guarantee you, if that person were to give you a chance, they would not be able to live up to the them that you've created, right? And they would not be able to live up to that, and that would become a disappointment, and that would become an issue in your future connection, because you had expectations, because you had an entitlement to them and the way that you want them to be, not the way that they actually are, right? The way that you fathom them to be. And it's unfair, because people just aren't going to live up to your expectations like that, right? They are going to take you by surprise. They are going to be their own person. They're going to have their own thoughts, their own whatever, you know? And rather than being upset and allowing this to bring you into a lower vibration, we should understand that this is the way the cookie crumbles, right? We create people in our minds. We create our own version of them, how we want to see them. Good and bad. Good and bad. We create our own version of everybody that we have ever met. And then we get mad when people don't live up to our expectations, right? And releasing attachment is really liberating, because then you're no longer attached to the version of people that you've created in your head. You're no longer attached to the fantasies that you feel entitled to, you know? You're no longer attached to things. And when you live a life without attachment, right, and not clinging to everything, not grasping, then you are able to find actual peace, you know? You're able to, you know, let life happen, let it unfold in the way that it does. And if you're in the mindset of gratitude, you're gonna manifest a lot of things that you can be grateful for, right? If you're in the lack mindset, like you feel like, oh, well, you can't be happy because you don't have this, and you can't be happy because you don't have that, then you're just going to end up lacking more, right? Because you manifest what you focus on, right? If you're focusing on the lack, you're going to manifest more lack. If you focus on the gratitude and the gains, like, that's what you're going to get, you know? And also, like, rather than being so dead set on being with a specific person in your life, you should really open it up and be like, and manifest what is divinely meant for you, right? Manifest what is on the table for you, right? What is on the menu for you in regards to relationships or whatever, rather than trying to manifest a specific person. Because if you try to interfere with their will, right, their free will, then you're gonna have a karmic backlash, right? You can't interfere with somebody else's willpower, and if you do, you're gonna face the consequences. Bottom line, like, you know, and this is something that I've been saying since, well, for years now. I've been saying this for years. You know, it's just, it's better to live in accordance, like, want what is yours, right? Rather than wanting what is other people's. And that's in regards to partners or whatever. And ask the universe to deliver what is yours, what is meant for you, right? Rather than being hung up on what everybody else has and wanting what everybody else has. Because maybe what is meant for you is not what other people have, you know? It's different. It's better. Because it's yours and it's tangible, right? Living without attachment helps us to realize that nothing actually belongs to us, right? We don't own anybody or anything. And this idea of ownership and possession is kind of gross, you know? it's one of the things that really like turns me off in regards to relationship, is this concept of somebody belonging to somebody else, right? So it's very slavey, very gross. I don't know, I don't like it. And you know, we live in a society where it's just been so normalized. You know, this is my girlfriend, this is my boyfriend, this is my husband, this is my wife. And it's all just titles of ownership, right? And it's like, to me, I don't love that. And maybe it's the Aquarian in me that's like, I don't know. And maybe that's why, like, I struggle with relationships as soon as a title is placed on it, because I'm like, oh, that don't feel right, that don't sound right, that ain't right. And, you know, we live in a society where we believe people can belong to us, or people are meant for us, they are ours. And that's just not the way it is, right? In reality, this reality is a string of cause and effect, right? It's just, you know, like the butterfly effect on a large scale. That's our reality. And to want ownership over another person, or in other things in general, is going to lead to suffering, because you're gonna learn how little you actually own, right? You're gonna learn how little you actually possess. And it's like, you can own a house, right? But then that house can catch fire and it's not yours anymore, right? Or it can be repossessed, or, you know, the government can take it over because it's not actually yours, you just live there, you know. And you can own a car, right, and that can be repossessed, it can get crashed, and you can learn that it's not yours, right? Not really. You were borrowing it for time. And, you know, same with your kids. You don't own your children. You make children, sure. And you raise children, sure. You're responsible for them, sure. But do you own them? No, because they're going to grow up and become their own people and do their own shit. And you just got to hope that you raised them right, you know? I feel that so much of what is wrong with the world today is this idea that we can possess things, that we can own it, that it is ours. And I think that when we relieve ourselves of this disease, right, because that's kind of what it feels like, when we relieve ourselves of this mental disease of possession, then we can actually be happy. Then we can have gratitude for what chooses to be in our life, right? Then we can have gratitude for the people who choose to be in our life, for the time we get with people and in situations, you know, and whatever. We have a lot more gratitude, and we take it a lot less for granted when we understand that we don't own it. It is there as a gift, right? It's there as a blessing in our time, and, you know, it's just kind of beautiful that way. You know, it's not fair to us or anybody to put unrealistic expectations on people or on things, you know, or taking things for granted in general. That's as soon as you lose, like, as soon as you do that, that's as quickly as you lose it, right? The second you take it for granted, it's like, oh, okay, you thought you had that? Not anymore, right? And that's been a big life lesson for me in life. And the best way to not take anything for granted is to not believe that anything is yours, right? It's visiting you for a time, or you're using it for a time. It's, you know, it's not yours. You're not taking it to the grave, right? You're not taking it beyond that. Even this body is borrowed, right? And that's just kind of the way that, you know, if you want real peace on the inside, you have to understand that, at least, that most basic thing, that you don't own anything. Everything that is in your life is there for a temporary, limited amount of time. And it's something you should enjoy, it's something you should be grateful for, it's something that you should honor for being there. Also, understand it is not yours, you know? And I think, you know, I honestly feel that's kind of what the Buddha was talking about when he said you can only lose what you cling to. You can only lose it if you believe it was yours in the first place. It's like, I was at the beach one day and I was playing in the sand and I grabbed a handful of sand, right, and I just picked it up like this, you know, and sand was running through my fingers and it fell, and, you know, it eluded me, right? It's like it was just, it was there and then it was gone, right, because I was clinging to it, and the tighter I clung to it, the more the sand escaped my hand, right? However, I figured out that if I were to just take my hand and scoop under the sand and lift it up, right, then I'd have a little pyramid of sand on my hand and it's not falling, right? It's not running out of my hand. It's not running away. It's because I'm not clinging to it. It's staying, right? And because I'm not desperate for it to stay, it's staying. And that's kind of the metaphor of my entire existence, you know? And the more we understand, you know, what is in your life, lift it up. Yeah, uplifting for it, right? Motivate them, support them, cherish the things that you have time with in this life, right? Because that's really what you're here for. You're here for an experience. You're here to catch some memories. You're here to have life, right? You're not here to try to own everything and take it with you to the grave. And I know, even with how much I love ancient Egypt, even burying all your gold and all your jewels and all your things in your tomb is in vain, because that stuff was never meant to go with you into the next life, right? And that's not to say that I don't want a tomb like that. Like, please put a bunch of gold jewels and stuff in my tomb. Like, I want a whole sarcophagus, I want the whole thing, you know. I definitely want that. However, I don't need it, right? And it's not actually coming with me into the next life. It's staying with what I leave behind, you know? So I kind of perceive it more that way, that the parts of me that are left behind get to be forever intertwined with gold and whatever, you know? It's beautiful. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I have for you. I just wanted to talk about how, you know, our attachments are entitlement, and how we need to let go of, it's kind of like spoiled child mentality of, well, I want it, so it better be mine, you know, like, because that's just not the way the real world works, you know. Life is not fair, but it is just, if that makes sense, right? Everything, all balance gets restored in the end, right? Even if you experience things that don't feel fair, you'll understand the message and the lesson in it later, should you choose to. You know, that has a lot to do with emotional intelligence too, if you catch your own lessons. if you understand when you are experiencing karma. That's important, you know, because if you don't understand that you're experiencing karma, then you're just gonna be like mad and feel personally victimized by life, right? But when you understand that you're experiencing karma and you understand why, then it really helps you sort shit out, right? It helps you get to the bottom of it and find that peace that you're seeking. But yeah, that's pretty much what I have for you. Namaste. I love you guys, and I will see you later.